Hi everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet a mitered square in double crochet with a single crochet border. I'm using Lion Brand 24/7 cotton from my stash, which Lion Brand did originally give me for free for other projects, and I'm using the colors taupe, goldenrod, grass, and tangerine. This video goes along with a full tutorial that does include written instructions as well as the chart. I'll be referencing the chart in the video. You can find the tutorial at the link in the description on this video if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the blog post if you're watching this directly on my blog. The mitered square starts right down here at the bottom corner. This is row 1. You can see it starts with 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. 3 of them are going to count as our first double crochet, and 1 is going to be the center of our starting circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. And then I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and 2 more double crochet all into that last chain. So there's the last chain. I work a double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 double crochet all into that last chain. And that is row 1. So what that's done is it's established a corner where the chain 1 space is and 2 sides, each of which have 2 double crochet. And you can see that here, 2 sides and a corner. So now we're going to work along those 2 sides. Starting here for row 2, we're going to chain 3 for our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet until we get to the corner, which is just 1 stitch here. And then in the corner, we're going to do the same thing we did down here, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. And that's going to be our corner every time. So I'm going to chain 3 for my first double crochet. Oops, there we go. Then I'm going to work into this double crochet because we need to get into the corner. So I'm going to double crochet into this one. And now I'm at the corner. So in this corner chain 1 space, I'm going to work 2 double crochet, chain 1, and another 2 double crochet in the same space. Then I have 2 more double crochet left to work into, and I'm going to double crochet into each of those. Remember, this chain 3 that we did in the last row counts as a double crochet, so don't forget to work into that one as well. So now there's my corner, and I've got 4 double crochet on each side. Now I want to change colors here, and I've already cut my yarn, so I'm going to undo just that last pull through step of that last double crochet and bring in my new color and finish that double crochet with my new color. And you can change colors as much as you want to throughout this whole project. All right, so it's starting to look like a square now, right? Let's do row 3. So for row 3, you chain 3, and then it's the same thing. Actually, all the rows are pretty much the same thing. You're going to double crochet until you get to the chain 1 space. And when you get to the chain 1 space, you're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and then you're going to double crochet all the way to the end. So let's take a look at that. I've changed colors to this goldenrod color, and I'm just going to lock the tails in with my first chain, and then I'm going to chain 2 more, so that's a chain 3, and turn my work. Now I'm going to double crochet in each stitch until I get to the center. Remember, this counts as a double crochet, so you skip the first stitch. There we go, double crochet in the second, 3, and 4. And now I'm at the center, and I'm going to work my 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. And then I double crochet all the way to the end. In this case, there's 4. You're going to add 2 stitches on each side with every row. So on row 1, we had 2 stitches on the side. On row 2 we had 4 stitches, and on row 3 we're going to have 6 stitches on each side. So it's an increase of 4 stitches overall, 2 on each side. So there's the beginning of our mitered square. Let's do one more row, and it's the same thing, but the reason that it's listed separately on the chart is because it starts from the other side, because it's a wrong side row. So you've got the right side row and the wrong side row. They're both the same. This one is chain 3, double crochet all the way to the chain 1 space, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then double crochet all the way to the end. The repeat bars here are because as you repeat rows 3 and 4, you're going to have more stitches to work when you get, in order to get to the chain 1 space. So you just work as many stitches as you need to get to the chain 1 space. So let's put this aside for now and work a couple more rows. So I always chain 3 to start. Okay, turn my work, double crochet, skip the first one, double crochet in every stitch to the center, the corner. And then in the corner chain space, I do 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, and then double crochet in each remaining stitch all the way across. And as you can see, our square is getting bigger with the chain 1 space at one corner and the beginning of the square at the other corner. So now I want to change color. So I'm going to undo the last pull through step of this last double crochet. So I have 2 loops back on my hook, and I'm going to use the new color to complete that step. And then just to lock in my tails, I'm going to catch them up in that first chain that I do, and then 2 more chains gives me my chain 3 to start the next row. Turn my work, double crochet till I get to the chain 1 space. I'm at the chain 1 space, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet in that space. And then double crochet in each stitch across to the end. And that is the end of row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over. Just double crochet till you get to the chain 1 space, and 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet in the space, and then double crochet to the end. And this will keep growing by 2 stitches on every row. In this case, I'm making a washcloth, so I'm going to keep doing it till I have about a 9-inch square, maybe a little bit less, so I can put an edging on it. And then I'll come back and I'll show you the edging. I've reached the size I wanted in 14 rows, and I just sort of changed colors when I felt like it. Now, a couple of notes here before we start the edging. Whatever side the edging is worked on is going to be the right side. So it doesn't matter a whole lot if you want to start on the right side or the wrong side. If you have an even number of rows, that means that your first row was a right side row. If you have an odd number of rows, that means that your first row was a wrong side row. For the sake of a pattern, though, I usually will specify to work an even number of rows so that your first row is a right side row. And one of the ways that you can tell that you haven't made a mistake or missed any stitches is that for every row, we added 2 stitches on each side of the chain 1 space, right? So if we had 2 stitches on row 1 on each side of the chain 1 space, by the time we get to row 14, we have 28 stitches. And I counted, and I have 28 stitches here, and then here's my chain 1 space for the corner, and then I have 28 stitches here. So that's a check that you can do. Now let's move on to the edging. And when we look at the edging, the way this works is exactly the same as if we were to make a mitered square in single crochet, at least the first half of it. So for the first half of the edging, let me zoom in a bit. We're going to start with a chain 1. We're going to single crochet in every stitch until we get to the chain 1 space. And then this time we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Because single crochets are shorter and we're not working 2 of them like we were here in the corner, you need a chain 2 to get around that corner instead of a chain 1. So that's the only difference. If you want to do a mitered square in single crochet, you work to the space in the center, and then you work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And you would start with that as well. It would be single crochet, chain 2, single crochet would be your first row. So for these two sides, it's basically a mitered square. We're working the single crochet to the corner, and then we're working the chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet for the corner, and then we're working single crochet across to the end. Now we have to deal with these raw edges, the ones that are the sides of the rows. You want to work the same number of single crochet between your chain 2 spaces on all 4 sides. Well, remember that we added 2 stitches for every row? So that means that if you work 2 stitches in every row, it'll add up to the same number. So we're going to chain 2 for the corner, okay? We're going to work 2 stitches in every row until we get down to this chain 1 space that we started with. You remember the very first chain that we worked all of this into? In that, we're going to treat that as a corner, and we're going to work single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then again along this side, 2 single crochet in every row until we get to the end, and then we work the chain 2 and join to our first stitch. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to continue with the same color that I've been working with. So I chain 1 and I turn, and I single crochet all the way to the end. Remember now, because the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, you have to go into that first stitch as well. I've reached the corner, and in the corner I'm going to work 1 single crochet, chain 2, and then another single crochet. And then again I work single crochet in all the stitches across to the next corner. I've reached the last stitch. Don't forget to work into your chain 3. So I single crochet in the last stitch. Now I'm going to chain 2 for the corner, and then I'm going to work 2 single crochet into each of these rows. I prefer not to work into the space created by the first stitch because that really opens up that gap. I prefer to work into the side of the stitch itself. So I'll find a spot like here to do a single crochet, and then another one here. And then on this stitch, I'll do one here and another one here. And that way it kind of holds together a little bit better as we go down. It doesn't open up this space so much. So I'm going to keep doing that all the way down the end of this, the ends of rows on this side. All right, I've worked 2 single crochet into every row down the edge, and I'm down to the chain space that we started with, that very first chain of our starting row. And in that chain, I'm going to treat that like a corner. I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then I go down this other side, again putting 2 stitches into the end of every row. I'm at my last row. I worked 2 stitches in 2 single crochets into the side of that row. So now I'm ready to just chain 2 and finish my row with a slip stitch, or you can fasten off and do an invisible join. Let's take a look at that. So I fastened off, and now I'm going to mimic the V shape at the top of this stitch by pulling this yarn around from the back underneath both loops of this stitch, like that, and then back down through the last chain of the chain 2. There we go. And then I'm going to pull the yarn back down through that. And that makes a nice little V that looks like a faux stitch right up there, and you get much more of a seamless join. If you're like me, you don't particularly love the way that it looks when you work in edging in one color into the sides of rows of another color. You can, as you're doing your edging, try to change colors to match the stitch that you're working into. But on something like this, where I've changed colors practically every other row or every row near the end, it's way too many ends to deal with and way too much hassle to try to make that work. There is another way to camouflage this edge using surface crochet, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to join the same color in any stitch along the way, but I'll start right in the corner here. I'm going to join it at the base of one of these stitches. Okay, I'll actually start it with the very first one in the row. I'm going to join it at the base of that stitch. So right where that stitch is going into, I can open it up, I can see the hole where that stitch is going, and that's where I'm going to join my yarn. So I just pull up a loop at the base of that single crochet. Now I go into the base of the next single crochet. You see where the feet are going? I stick my hook in, make sure I'm pulling up my working yarn and not my tail, and I pull up a loop and do a slip stitch. Make it nice and loose, okay? Not too loose, but not too tight, otherwise it'll cinch everything together. Find the next spot where I'm going in, pull up a loop, and finish a slip stitch like that. So basically I'm slip stitching across the bottoms of my stitches from one to the next. And I'm going to keep doing this all the way down the edge and then all the way around all the other 3 edges as well. And you can see that that is giving a nice finish that hides where that border is joined into a different color. And this is not in the actual mitered square tutorial post. This is just a little extra something if you're ever dealing with an edging. It's not exclusive to mitered squares. Now when I get to the corner, I can't exactly work 2 slip stitches into the same space, so I'm just going to work 1 into the corner for both of those stitches and then continue on around with the next stitch. Now on this edge where I change from working into the sides of rows to the tops of the stitches, at that corner there are 2 separate stitches in 2 separate places, but I am going to stick my hook in just once to match the other corner. So I'm going to go in the bottom of this stitch and then the bottom of that stitch, both together. Yarn over, pull up a loop, pull it through the loop on my hook, and that's made 1 slip stitch for that corner as well. And that you can play with that to get whatever kind of look you want, but I like it when it matches, so I'm doing that. You can go into each one separately. It's not going to hurt anything. And to make everything match, you also have to work across the sides where you're working into the tops of stitches. Here I've got another corner where stuff's worked into one space, so I'm just going to pull up a loop in the space and make my slip stitch there. I'm back to the beginning corner, but this is another one where it's got 2 stitches worked into 2 separate spots. So normally I would, if I was continuing on, insert my hook through both like this and pull up a loop just like I did on that last corner. But since this is the end, I'm going to actually fasten off and make an invisible stitch over that corner, make an invisible join over that corner. So I fasten off, and just like we did before, find that first stitch, okay? Bring the yarn through, this time I'm going from top to bottom, and then find this stitch here, and I'm coming all the way from the back of the work because I want to pull the yarn down to the back of the work, and bring that yarn through all the way to the bottom. Oop, there we go. And now I've created another little V shape over that corner. So that's just given a slightly more finished look to the edge where it hides one stitch working into another stitch of a different color. So all that's left to do now is to weave in all of these ends, because I changed colors a lot, and wash and block my square. And that's how you make a double crochet mitered square. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, or leave me a comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. Thanks for watching!